Hey everyone, what's going on? Today we're looking at Thiel's political views and trying to see where they fall in terms of party and popularity. If you're enjoying these videos, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much. But Thiel basically espouses to be libertarian, and then so this is first one's his description of himself. The next three are descriptions of him that he has not disagreed with in public. And then there's one more that also he hasn't disagreed in public, but we'll get to in a second. But libertarian, basically freedom of choice, small government, equal over equitable. I think equal over equitable is the easiest way to think of a libertarian. That they would rather everyone gets 10 apples than the person who makes $1 get 20 apples and the person who makes $100 get 1 apple. Which, again, I can understand the backing and thought process behind that. I also think if you have unfathomable amounts of wealth, of course you're going to say, I would rather everyone get 1 apple because you have the money to buy all of the apples. But anyways, besides that, he's also been described as an Ayn Rand, I think I said that right, libertarian, who basically means objectivism, which is individual choice, and laissez-faire, which is hands-off economic policy. Basically, let companies do what they want, have faith that people will do the right thing, and all will end well. Just understand that we've tried that before multiple times, and it has not gone well. And so Plutonic reactionary basically means that the population is controlled by their wealthy class, which is fairly accurate for the US, and reactionary just meaning returning to old or stricter norms or standards, which is a very interesting take coming from a gay man. Like, the cognitive dissonance must be pretty deep there. I don't know how else to put it. And then military techno-libertarian. This one was like kind of wild. I didn't fully understand it. It's seemingly grown out of proportion in recent days and times. But basically it means somebody is armed to defend the freedoms granted to you by technology. I guess that means I have a gun to defend myself streaming. I'm kind of confused on it still. But it was on here. It was important. He's been described as it multiple times and somehow hasn't taken issue with it. So I thought that met the criteria of something interesting. But I think that the common theme among this is libertarian, probably a little farther right and a little farther free choice, free will, small government than the normal sort of libertarian field, which I brought us a political compass. So this is a very detailed political compass, and I want everyone to keep in mind a lesson from my high school physics teacher, who I actually hated with a burning fucking passion, but we'll get to that later. His quote is, "All models are wrong, some models are helpful." I think this is really important, especially with something as subjective as this. This is going to be wrong. It is a model. It is as right as it could have been 6 years ago. And even then, a bunch of people had issue with it. So don't take this as gospel, and don't take this as me telling you this is where everything lies and this is exactly how it looks. More of what I'm trying to show is these categories, which we just talked about, and where they lie in relation to neutral. That's all. Quick refresher for if people don't understand how to read a political compass. Up and down means authoritarian up, libertarian down, meaning small government, big government, right, left, politically conservative, liberal. Right, left, same right, left that we're using in our everyday political discourse. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in here because I thought I stumbled a little bit when I was presenting live and go over a really quick brief overview of these quadrants. So right here in blue, we got the authoritarian right, this is like Singapore or like Saudi Arabia as an absolute monarchy, or a lot of the Middle Eastern monarchies would be somewhere up in here. Then for authoritarian left, we have like China, Maoism, Xiism, and then even further over this way would probably be like a North Korea. Down here we have libertarian left, which would be like a Nordic country, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Norway. One of the ones that has a strong sort of socialism program, but isn't is still like a democratic based system. And then lastly, we have the libertarian right, which is the sort of section we're looking at today. And then with that, let's jump back to the video. I think this is, again, it's not correct objectively. Lots of these things I think have moved around since this was created, and I don't even know if it was correct when it was created. But I think it's interesting to see where techno-liberalism, objectivism, and libertarianism all fall in relation to neutral, and that sort of brings me to my next thing of the Overton window, which I tried to roughly draw. Please excuse my poor drawing skills. I am not good at drawing. Drawing is not a class I did well in. But anyways, this is how I would have drawn the Overton window 10 years ago. It's the simplest way to think of the Overton window is what it's cool to talk about in whatever field. So like the Overton window in kindergarten class is probably like Pokemon cards. The Overton window in politics is what politics and policy is cool to talk about and push. So I tried to draw it as pretty broadly as I could, as this square of like, okay, Nordic liberalism, basically think of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, are like, yeah, the left was pushing that, but it wasn't high on the priority list. You might have one or two people talking about it. On a similar side, you're not even getting up to any real forms of communism. You have some social nationalism, basically socialism, or getting towards socialism, but not fully there yet. On the right was, I honestly don't know much about these parties. I didn't read a ton about them. But what I really wanted to point out is, of the parties we looked at before, objectivism, libertarian, and techno-libertarianism, 2 of the 3 and half of this one are out. And we decided already that he was closer to these ones than he was to this one. So I would put Thiel's political view somewhere between these two. Points on the graph. And so, at the same time, the reason I said that this box is not the Overton window today is because, in my opinion, these center sort of boxes have fallen out of favor. Like, this whole section is no longer believed to be the case. Everything is being pushed outwards, both directions. So if you had to draw it today, I would draw straight through this middle, color all of this out, and then push these lines down. Which, again, we're moving towards the outsides, which, if you look at some of the outside categories, we've seen a lot of rhetoric from neo-Nazis, from neo-fascism, and neo-Nazism coming sort of into play in a real way. And in today's world, we see people like Bernie who are pushing this up out past sort of even conservative socialism towards full-blown communism, which it's, again, a little bit of a stretch. But we're seeing socialism become a lot more common. We're seeing Bumdummy win New York City, a very sort of capitalistic city, is won by somebody who claims to be a socialist. But again, we are sort of being pushed in all of these parties outwards and fracturing away from this center common